Welcome to the New Orleans Saints podcast, Training Camp 2026, presented by Rouse's Markets. Hear from players, coaches, and get analysis from our team of broadcasters as we break down preseason games and practice. That's right, we're talking about practice, baby. The New Orleans Saints podcast starts right now. Here are your hosts, Todd Graffagnini and Gus Kattengell.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the New Orleans Saints podcast. I'm Gus Kattengell, Todd Graffagnini, voice of your New Orleans Pelicans. But during training camp in the hot, brutal South Louisiana sun, here's the voice of live training camp. Is that what we call the live feed, man?
Live stream.
Yeah, how much fun have you been having?
I'm having good. It's good for me because normally right now, I'd be covering training camp, but I'm not talking. I'd be charting and whatever. So this is good for me to get my voice trained after a few, couple of months off with no calling games. This is good to get my vocal cords get back together. And I was just telling you, I've been talking for 90 minutes straight. It's almost like an NBA game. So this is really good off-season work for me because, we still have about a month and a half before Pelicans Media Day. So yeah. This is almost like a preseason for me.
As new dad, Cesar Ruiz will find out the only screaming you will do during the off-season is at the kids.
Right.
That's right.
Get over here. Get back.
Anyway,
get out of the pool.
We got a lot to get into. It is day 6 of New Orleans Saints training camp, the second padded practice since training camp has begun. Graff and I are going to catch you up on plays of the day, things that stood out. Plus, you will hear from head coach Kellen Moore and Cesar Ruiz, who went through his first padded practice of camp as well. Todd, first off, let's give a quick overview for those that are just tuning in and listening what's going on. It's we're amping up here, right? That first week, hey, it's camp, it's nice. Now we're in the pads, and you made mention of the schedule and how it is as we build to what we will see 1 week from Thursday.
Yeah, so today was technically day number 6, second day in pads, but by far the longest practice that we have had of the first couple of weeks. There were 14 periods today. There was a one-on-one period, and then, of course, you've got the normal fundamentals, the individual drills. You've got the 5 kicks from the kicker, and then there was an extra special teams period before ending off with 2 team periods. One of them, though, was 20 reps in the final period, which was a 2-minute drill situation, end of half, was now technically supposed to be 14 reps, but they're not going to end that period until the clock ends or you're out of downs. So you can take the number of those reps any way you want. But no, it was the warmest day of camp that we've had so far, and it's been the most extensive day. So really, really good day of work.
Saw one false start penalty towards there, and we're going to do it because it was in the 2-minute drill. So penalties did happen and the delay of game. We'll get into the 2-minute drill specifically, but the reason I bring that up is to your point. That's part of the building, right? When it's ending at 10:15, you're really not that tired yet, only 2 team periods. Now you're going to see what naturally takes place in the game. Fatigue, trying to stay focused, trying to do those things. And I think we kind of saw a little bit of that today.
No, it was definitely warm.
It's what you want.
It's exactly what you want. And this is why, you really love being here in New Orleans for training camp, because this is something you cannot simulate. We're going to be out in California in a couple of weeks. And I promise you, Gus, the weather out there is not like what it is out here. It's almost like a vacation, even though it really isn't. You're playing football, but still, you're not going to have the humidity and the heat that you do here. So that is something you have to battle. And it's good because not only you're battling the physical, but you're also battling the mental as well, knowing where you have to be on the football field, but trying to overcome your would-be exhaustion. So you're really having to go through a bunch of things and try to not make mistakes and get those false start penalties or what have you, holding penalties that could really stall a 2-minute drive.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, let's recap what day 6 was. Again, it was the second padded practice of training camp. The first one was back on Monday. And Graff, if I just happen to be walking down airline and you're passing by and you're at the stoplight and I ask you to lower the window, hey, what happened today? What's the first thing you lead off with? What happened that really stood out the most?
The first thing that really jumps out on for me is just how well the running game performed today. And of course, when you're not in pads, it's impossible to evaluate what a running game is going to be because the lines aren't really blocking and there's no contact and there's no tackling or anything like that. So I thought we saw some really nice holes. The running back room, which is pretty deep, and it was a lot of running downhill, a lot of chunk plays. There were no really negative plays that we saw as far as anybody getting blown up in the backfield. And I think it's perfect because, as always, we say it time and time and time again, the defense is always ahead of the offense at the beginning of training camp. Then the offense catches up. And I think today was the day that the offense finally started to catch up a little bit, and it happened on the ground.
Well, we started today's live feed session over again on the New Orleans Saints app, which we encourage you to do. Every single open practice, we'll be able to comment on it. I brought up the fact that, hey, you're starting to see those little fundamentals that we saw the O-line working on, getting your hands extended, getting into pads. And as you said, with pads, you can get physical with the defensive players, and that's something that we saw.
Gus, one play that just literally jumped back into my mind is something you were talking about as far as details and wide receiver blocking and what block on the outside or a kickback block can make a 5, 6, 7 yard gain into a 15, 20 yard gain. Well, there was a run up to the left today in the first team period, and it was to Devin Neal, and Jordan Tyson had a tremendous block on the left sideline on Quincy Riley, and that opened it up, and that made a 5 yard gain into a 15 yard gain. And it's great because you got a rookie out there, first round draft pick, who's got all the speed in the world and the route running ability, but that is really going to endear him to the coaching staff. The fact that he, put it on the line right there and had a kick out block to make a nice run, a really, really good run.
To the point, it was such a nice block that Riley took a little exception to
Correct.
it, gave him the business, picked him up, landed on him, throwing him into the ground there. Then what did I like to see?
Tyson pushed right back.
He got right back up
Yep.
and shoved him in the back.
That's
I
what
love
we
that.
call in the business, ladies and gentlemen, extracurricular activities.
And it's something we talked a little bit about in the live feed, and I know it's two different sports and stuff, but like Jeremiah Fears being able to come in last year, you got a lot of names already, a lot of faces that were already on the Smoothie King Center, my point being, come in and just be yourself. Jordan Tyson with the Lave and Vele and all these other guys, you don't have to go out there and be a star. So to your point, though, if he can do little things like that, it's a huge thing. Now, the opposite of that, conversely, we saw in the 2-minute drill, Alvin Kamara get a handoff. It looked like there was a gap and a half, but the receiver Austin didn't hold his block, and Kamara was
Could
stopped
have been
after.
a potential,
there
first
was
down.
nobody there. If he holds him open, Alvin Kamara walks into the end zone.
No, and it turned into a
point.
very short gain. Yes, it goes both ways. But again, that being said, it's a one cog. It's 11 men doing, with a singular job, singular focus, and everybody else did their job correctly because the hole was that big. So, one missed block, what could have been, turns into a no gain instead of maybe a 5 to 10 yard gain.
Yeah, and again, Alvin Kamara had a huge run. That was probably one of the plays of the day. We'll go over our plays of the day towards the end, but I agree with you. The run game, it's nice to see that. And we had Bobby Abear from WWL, part of our live feed coverage, and you saw the look on his face. He was
fired up.
He was going back and forth because he knows if you have a run game for your quarterback, it just makes it that much better.
Gus, I just go back to last year. The running game was it was such a struggle. Even during camp, you rarely saw any type of those huge holes and the chunk plays on in the running game. And you don't always know if what you see in training camp and in preseason is going to translate to the regular season.
Right.
It absolutely did because the Saints running game really struggled last year.
Here's head coach Kellen Moore on that running back room and why he likes it so much.
Running back room, I think it's a really deep room. nice blend of experience like Travis, like Alvin, and then these young guys. We're going to have a ton of opportunities through joint practices and these preseason games to give these guys as much exposure as they can. And so I feel great about that group.
And look, it's something that this is why we bring it up, and it's just something to think about and bring it all together in its totality, right? The very first days of training camp, the coaching staff and players, hey, the O-line, they've done everything together. They've gotten food together.
No missed workouts.
They've hung out. They've worked out together. So I think, Todd, that leads us to maybe assume, hey, that's working. When you're around each other all the time, you're spending the time together, and that cohesiveness is starting to show up. Yeah, so a nice day of work, and head coach Kellen Moore had this to say overall as to the back-and-forth battles between the two teams.
Yeah, I think you gotta stay neutral the best you can. Obviously, I'm gonna spend a lot of time with the offense, but from a defense perspective, we want to see the back and forth, and that's what we see out here. And that's the cool part is both sides of the football are making plays. That's all we hope for. And when you see the back and forth, I think that's a good thing. When you see both sides of the football having the success that they've had, and so we all get to grow from these reps. But the run game, like you said, the run game is such an important part of training camp. This is our best environment to get the run game ready, both offensively and defensively.
All right, so the run game for sure. What's next?
Barion Brown?
I have him too. Yeah.
So, look, is it officially time yet, Gus, to dub him Camp Darling yet? Or do we need to wait another practice? I'm telling you, every single practice, the man makes a play. And every practice that he makes a play, and I'm talking as a receiver, we have not seen him yet return live punts or return live kickoffs. That's why he was drafted, really as a special teams player. His prowess as a kick returner in college is unprecedented. The man returned 6 kickoffs for touchdowns. That is an all-time record in the NCAA, 5 at Kentucky and 1 at LSU. So, look, speed, it kills. You can't teach it. But if he can make himself a weapon as a wide receiver, I'm going to go out on a thick limb, one of my thick limbs. He's going to make this team because we really haven't seen what his strength is that, and that's returning kicks.
Yeah, no doubt. Look, I thought he was the star of the one-on-one drills, cornerbacks and receivers. He made, by my count, 3 catches. They were all there. 2 of them just across the middle. One was an out route where he caught here as well, but the ones across the middle, Isaac Ianum was the one that was really guarding him both times over the middle. The separation, Todd, he gets. He got off the line freely, not a lot of hand on him, so he got clean separation. And once he puts his right foot down and then cut towards the middle of the field towards his left, it's an easy throw. You just got to make the throw, and he makes the catch. And he's not a small body. He's got a nice size. And I made mention in our live feed, if you can catch the deep ball like you did on Monday, you can come across the middle and catch it there. That's now 2 parts of the field that you have demonstrated you can make a grab. You're starting to make me wonder, hey,
we'll see. He's got to keep stacking days. The other play, of course, was one of the plays of the day today in the 2-minute drill, final period of the practice, and it's a 2-minute drill. Spencer Rattler's the quarterback, and he throws a quick out in the right sideline to Brown, and right there was Jordan Howden, who really kind of tried to jump the route. He missed it. Brown made the catch, and then nicely tiptoed that right sideline, and all of a sudden, Gus, he was gone 35 yards later, and immediately in that 2-minute drill, the second-team offense was in field goal position.
I mean, points, right? I mean, one catch.
Chunk play.
Give you points, exactly.
Yards after catch.
Head coach Kellen Moore after practice on Brown.
I think we watched a lot of evidence of him playing receiver and playing impactful plays in the SEC for a number of years, not just the LSU year, but the Kentucky year. And when you watch all that exposure and get to know Barion, you're really fired up to have this guy. And so he's doing a great job. And I think the hardest part for these young guys really isn't the physical. There's an acclimation there, but there's so much mental. And so I think that's credit to him that he's been really prepared to go out there and play. Training camp's a journey. Guys are going to have good exposures early, and we just got to keep going.
How do you say when you get to know him? Describe Barion. What do you mean by that? Like, what do you like about him?
Yeah, I think his energy he brings, I think that's important. You need guys like that who kind of, raise the level of juice and enthusiasm at practice. And I think he backs it by how he plays. He's kind of like got that little spark plug component to him when he makes a play, and I love the way he celebrates. Like I think that's an important part of this thing, and so I think he's just done a really good job.
6th round draft pick, 190 overall, and
Not
we're
too
talking
shabby.
about
You know how you know, Gus, when the head coach is asked about a guy every day, because the media has to, because he's making plays. So again, you just hope it continues. Boy, that is gonna. I tell you, again, take preseason games with a grain of salt, but they're going to be important because we got a pretty deep wide receiver room, and when you're looking at the guys that are going to get meaningful reps in those joint practices, there are so many opportunities now during the actual preseason games, and Barion Brown's going to have, he's going to be on the field a ton as a wide receiver.
Yeah, no doubt. A little bit on the receiver DB battles, the one-on-one battles. Fans love them. We love them because, you get to see what happened there. And I would say overall on the period, Todd, you had me out there on assignment kind of looking at it. Very aggressive play. You only saw one flag, really, that could have been pass interference, and both guys slipped. The field's kind of taking a little beating there, a little bit of some slippage. But for the most part, I thought the DBs probably won that. Lots of incompletions. I kept writing INC for incompletions on that. So that's
And the
good.
offense always has the advantage in that situation because the wide receiver knows what the route is. The DB, you're literally on an island in that drill as a defensive back.
There was a strip as well on one of them after a catch, and the crowd went, oh. So they kind of knew that. Here's Coach, though, on what he wants to see when a receiver takes on a DB on a one-on-one drill.
I think it's just a good competitive environment. I think it also allows our guys to kind of test themselves, put themselves in some different situations, whether it's a release, corners wanting to play, hey, I want to play this one from off, I want to play this one from press, mirror, whatever it may be. I think more importantly, it allows those guys to kind of work on their craft. And, hey, anything's competitive. There's always a scoreboard, so to speak, in that type of element. But it's been good.
Speaking of competitive, that leads us to our last topic we want to touch on today here, day 6 of the 2nd padded practice in training camp, Graff, and that is 2-minute. It is important. That's how you become a legend. That's how you win games, man. You've got to get 3 at the very least, and sometimes you're going to need to come back and try to score and all that. So this kind of was an indication too, right? Time management, personnel. There's so many things you can go into the 2-minute drill that matters, right? Getting the right personnel groups in there, not all those different aspects of it, snapping the ball off in time. So let's start with the first unit, and there was a lot of snaps with that first unit with Tyler Shuck. What did you make out of that 2-minute drill?
All right, so first of all, you've got to get the situation right. This is an end of the half. This is not end of game. This is end of half. And they started both first and second team at the, where are we here? The minus 35-yard line. There was 1 minute and 40 seconds left with one timeout for the offense, and the offense trailed by 3, 17-14. So at worst, you really want a field goal. That's what you're looking for. So I thought Shuck did a really good job with the offense, kind of mixing it up a little bit, and he was able to get it down to where they attempted a 54-yard field goal. I got that number unofficially, but that's what we're going to go with, a 50-yard field goal, which was good, by the way, and it tied the game up. But, yeah, it kind of stalled a little bit at the end, but just mixing it up, passing, you are able to run the football as well with a timeout. But, again, Shuck has done a really good job as far as 2-minute offense. We've seen it going back to last year. I think that's one thing that he really excels at as far as getting the ball down the field and advancing within the 2 minutes. But, again, the good news is it was a much longer field goal than you would have hoped, but Tanner Brown was able to make it from 54. So you tied the game up at the buzzer.
Here's what Coach had to say on Shuck's performance so far through training camp.
Yeah, there's some good stuff. Like any player, there's training camp. There's going to be some plays that he's going to want back. He's going to test himself. He's going to make some mistakes. That's all part about growing. And so, I thought today he had some good stuff. He had some good stuff at the line of scrimmage as far as communicating, making some adjustments. He made some good throws. And there'll be a few that we get to learn from. And so I think he's just taking this the right way, focusing in each day. And getting better.
Yeah, I recall one play too that nothing was there. Throw it in the dirt. He threw it at the feet of Travis Etienne. Hey, let's play a second down. Let's not try to force anything and get a turnover at the end of the half, which is really a killer. But instead, let's live another down. Yeah. And he was able to do exactly that. And again, you get the points out of it.
I mentioned it during our live feed, that 2-minute drill. It's both. You want to see the offense make some plays, right, and you're not too disappointed if the defense makes some plays because,
I mean, a win-win is exactly what we saw. Exactly. A field goal.
Yeah.
Because the defense wins because they're not giving up a touchdown, and the offense wins because they get points.
Well, he's in my plays of the day because of 2 plays he made in the 2-minute drill. And Kool-Aid McKinstry's had a really good camp. He got a PBU over on the sideline. It was to our right. It was the team's left because they're going towards the end zone. He got a PBU there that stopped some momentum, right? And that led the very next play to the throw to H.A.N. at his feet because it was an incompletion. Then on a second down play, and I kind of thought at first leading to your field goal, it almost felt like a play call to move the ball to that right hash mark. It was Juwan Johnson coming in motion. You could see it. It was the only player going there, and immediately after the snap, Shuck grabbed it and threw it. So it was get out of my hands, get some ball movement, but Kool-Aid was immediately there and two-hand touched him. He would have brought him down for a gain of 1 to 2. Clock moving, that led to the field goal. But
that's the thing because remember at that time, and here's another thing that you're not able to practice a whole lot. They were out of timeouts when that play happened, and Johnson was caught inbounds.
Right.
So they had to rush the field goal unit onto the field and go through all that operation as the clock ticked towards 0, which they did to perfection. So, again, that's just a win-win for everybody. The defense stops the play, keeps the clock moving, forcing the field goal unit to be literally perfect, and they were.
Yeah, and that's why I bring it up. It's not the sexy play. It is a great play, though, from the defensive side. That PBU, hey, that stops a catch, right? And then you make that quick tackle. You don't lose anything. Right. And then that led to the sacks. I mean, Granderson.
Oh, that's right. Granderson
and
had
Vernon
the sack
Broughton,
on third down.
Both of those guys met so on second down.
That's why the clock kept going.
On second down, you make the play, though, to Juwan Johnson had to call a timeout.
Right.
And then here comes the sacks. So your defense bowed up. I mean, bottom line, you got pressure and a sack. You had 2 guys beat at the quarterback, and you had your, let's call it what it is, a guy pushing to be your shutdown corner right now, making plays that kept the team 2-3.
No doubt.
So,
good stuff.
I got to love that with the 2-minute. All right, so that was the first team. Second team comes in, and it was something that you said during the live feed that made a lot of sense. They had a chance there to maybe go for a touchdown, had to wind up getting a field goal because of a penalty.
Well, we talked about the Barion Brown play, and that's the chunk.
Set him up.
That is the chunk play that you want in a 2-minute situation. And the best part about that play is he got knocked out of bounds, so you didn't have to burn a timeout. And then you get the ball down to a 3rd and 2, and you're on what, the 6-yard line? I mean, you are poised to go in, and you still have not used a timeout. And all of a sudden, the play clock is running down. I could hear it in my headphones. One of the offensive linemen said, 5 seconds, 5 seconds. And I looked on the play clock to the other side, on the far side of the field, and I'm thinking, they're not going to get this play off. And the back judge was to my right. Again, we're in that end zone, and I saw, plain as day, the play clock go down to 0, and the flag goes. And that is an absolute no-no. First of all, I mean, you can't take a delay a game there, 1. Secondly, you had a timeout that you could have burned to avoid the delay of game, which did not happen. So instead of a 3rd and 2 and a chance, you still could have run the football in that situation because you had a timeout. Well, that's out the window now. It's now a 3rd and 7, and the next play is well short. And you have to kick a very short field goal. But you had an opportunity to score a touchdown there, and that's thank goodness it's training camp because if that's a regular season game, That's the difference between winning and losing a game.
It's the details. And I'm glad you just brought that up because that's what I was going to say here. So we got about 5 minutes left, but that was my thing. To me, that's the details. That is the difference. Look, you're happy with 3. No doubt you were 3. But as you said, you were down 3. You tied it. I don't know if you're getting the ball in the second half or not, but it's a completely different locker room. If you score a touchdown now, you're leading, right? Dome is pumped up. It's a massive difference if you're up 4 or tied going into the second half. But it's all about the details. And here's the thing, Todd. When they broke the huddle, it was about 6, 7. I mean, so they didn't, back to what we're saying, that first unit, personnel.
This is the second team, by the way. This is the second team offense.
And that's why those details matter, though. You got to get in and out of huddle. You can't break the huddle less than 10 seconds. It's gonna be tough, to get that play off in that situation. All right, so he touched on the 2-minute. The run game I thought was good. Barion Brown was solid here. We'll close out with the schedule here in a quick minute, but some plays of the days, I think we've kind of touched on it already. I'll go through mine. Alvin Kamara, that toss sweep man to the left side. Here's my thing with AK. Over the last couple of years, there's been a lot of talk about, he's getting up there with age and the carries and the usage. You know what he hasn't had for a while, Todd? A solid offensive line that's played together and quarterback play that puts pressure on the defense in the secondary.
Gus, like I talked about last year during camp, he had nothing. He had nowhere to go at any time. So it was just
you and I would
tough.
talk about this when I did the talk show back in the day. If I was a defensive coordinator and didn't put 9 to 10 players to stop number 41 when you played the Saints over the last 5-6 years, I'm firing you. I mean, because you'd have to prove to me, even in the last couple of years of Drew, that the arm wasn't there what it used to be. So if I don't have fear of over-the-top plays and stretching the defense, even Bobby talked about it. He said we need the second coming of Rashid Shaheed, somebody that can do that. The importance of that safety or their Caden Ellis, that middle linebacker going, whoa. He can go behind us or he can come across. And then we saw that in that first practice where I told you, man, I got a grin on my face when we saw 3 straight plays. All 3 had motions. One of them was a quick hit, hand up off the middle to Alvin. Give him space. We saw that today. A quick dump for a screen in the flat. That was a one-on-one play. If 9 to 10 plays a game, 4 or 5 of those are one-on-ones, man, Alvin can get me some yards still.
I agree.
I mean, Alvin can give me some yards still. And you saw in that sweep, it was quick. 41 was off and running quickly, and he was blocked. He had a lot of blocking in front of him. So I would say he was one of my plays of the day for sure. Brown, again, making those plays. Kool-Aid, the PBUs, the quick stop of Jawan Johnson, the sack by the 2 Saints players, Granderson and Broughton. And you mentioned it, Tyson Jordan, the block. It's not going to go down as in the box score, but that's the kind of play that you're right. They're seeing that in the film room later today.
Yep.
And they're going to mention.
Just quickly for me, you remember the play, Rattler rolled it was right through. I mean, not supposed to do this. Throw against his body, though. It was a really nice pickup, 25 yards. Bryce Lance coming back to the football to make the catch. Nice play there. The biggest run of the day was by C.J. Donaldson, who had a huge hole off the left side, and he took it to the house. I mean, that was a 70-yard run. And what we continue to see, Jawan Johnson, the tight end, yards after catch. It just seems every catch he makes goes at least 20 yards, and most of those are after he connects with the football.
Yeah, no doubt. Should be fun as we continue to go. Again, we'll close out the schedule tomorrow. It is a padded practice.
It is closed.
It's closed. So we will not have a live feed. We will have a podcast. Then on Friday, the team is off. On Saturday and Sunday, 2 open practices. They'll be fun. They're padded, and we're going to have some fun. We'll have Devery Henderson on a live feed as well. Michael Lewis is going to be on there. Teron Armstead, I'm hearing, could be on that Thursday practice here as well. And that is against the Jags. So that should be fun to do that again. So you definitely want to go get the Saints app and download it. Once you go to it, it's right there. It says practice tracker. Just tap it and you'll hear us talking live. Plus, more importantly, what's fun, you can follow the practice. It literally tells you which period the team is in. And you get an indication, I think, there too, Todd, how structured Kellen Moore has his practices.
To the second.
Yeah, it literally is.
There's no wasted movement.
No, it's fun to see that. So we'll be back with you tomorrow for the New Orleans Saints podcast. Day 6 is in the books. It's a fun one. Should be a good one.
No doubt.
All right, that's Todd Graffagnini. I'm Gus Kattengell. As always, thank you for listening to the New Orleans Saints podcast.
Thanks for listening to the New Orleans Saints podcast, presented by Rouse's Markets. Follow the Black and Gold at NewOrleansSaints.com and the Saints mobile app. We'll see you next time, right here on the New Orleans Saints podcast, presented by Rouse's Markets.